The clock strikes 12, I step into the haze. Whispers call me from 1,000 graves. Shadows dance in corners out of sight. I chase the unknown deep into the night. I hunt the fear you dare not face. In the darkness I embrace the trace. The dead, they speak their secrets shown. Welcome to the bizarre and the unknown. A flicker, a chill, a shadowed hand. The unseen lingers where I stand. Through creaking doors and empty halls, I hear the echoes of forgotten calls. I hunt the fear you dare not face. In the darkness I embrace the trace. The dead, they speak their secrets shown. Welcome to the bizarre and the unknown. And the unknown. Eyes that watch from a place unreal, a touch so cold it makes you feel they're near but hidden, veiled in shade. I walk with ghosts, I'm unafraid. I hunt the fear you dare not face. In the darkness I embrace the trace. The dead, they speak their secrets shown. Welcome to the bizarre and the unknown.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Bizarre and Unknown. I'm your host, E.D. Testman. Tonight we're going to look at feral people. I started the show a little early because for some reason, hey Ash, for some reason it put it down 5 o'clock Central Standard Time instead of 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. Being there were so many people in chat, I just hopped on real quick, got my stuff set up, and started 30 minutes early today. So we're going to have fun with this one. I've talked a little bit about feral people, but I haven't really talked a whole lot. I spent part of the day. Hey, Carl. I spent part of the day getting some newer notes, some controversial ways of thinking. Oh crap! Yeah, I forgot to put my mic down. Do I? I spent today. I apologize for yesterday, folks. Some brothers I ride with came up. They bought a load of wood for me, helped me cut and split some wood and get some wood in the woodshed because I haven't been able to do it with my arm the way it is. And I kind of overdid it yesterday, and my shoulder's doing better now, but I still got a lot of pain in my elbow, a lot of weakness in my elbow too. So I apologize for yesterday. I was hurting too bad, and I didn't want to sit here on the computer for 2 hours messing around with my arm hurting the way it was. But kind of good timing too, because man, it was like low 70s, high 60s earlier today. I was outside working and feeling nice, and I came in for a little bit, and I was like, man, I'm starting to get cold. This is weird. And I stepped outside and went, what the hell happened to the good weather? So I had to load up some firewood and fire up the old wood stove. I have not had it fired up for about a week and a half, 2 weeks now. So yeah, I got it fired back up today, just before I came on live. I was actually got on here to make sure everything was running right, and then all of a sudden, oh wow, there's a bunch of people in chat. Oh, no kidding, Machete. Yeah, it's been absolutely just beautiful for the last week and a half. I mean, just beautiful. I mean, record high temperatures for this time of year. And I was outside in my normal way, doing some work outside with what I can with one arm working. And I was like, okay, I'm tired, hurting a little bit. So I came inside and sat down and went to running the tens unit and some icy hot and everything. And then it's like, damn, I'm getting cold. And it just, Mother Nature said, hey, dude, hold my beer and watch this. You think it was nice today? Think again. So, yeah, it got me. So these feral people. So I'm kind of curious, who all in here has had an encounter with the feral people, or has known somebody that's had an encounter with feral people? Yeah, it looks like it is, Roxanne. Seen it was look like Wednesday or Thursday is supposed to get up in the 50s again. Yeah. I'm actually shocked you got nice weather where you're at, Roxanne. I mean, literally, it's 30 degrees, real feel of 18. You live with one. So, feral people, I've actually, the oldest stories that I've been able to find right now on feral people date back to the Civil War, actually. Uh, I've had a lot of accounts of feral people. Yeah. Oh, it was. Yeah. How feral are we talking? Just hill people are almost can't talk. A little bit more feral than I am, Bounty. A little bit more feral than I am. There's a lot of myths. So you can talk to some of the Appalachian folks. I'm not gonna tell you we got feral people throughout different parts of the U.S. Appalachia, the Appalachians is the most well known about the feral people, most documented when it comes to them. Now, some of the Appalachian people will tell you they're just people that live off grid. And that's where, and I kind of tell them, I said, are we talking about the same type of people here? He said, yeah, we call them feral people. I said, well, I think that's a misidentification because the feral people, they're cannibals. They don't come into town every great once in a while and trade. That's just people living off grid. Now, there is several Native American tribes that live the old ways, that are way back in areas that white man don't go. There's tons and tons of reports of that. Cherokee tribes, Sioux tribes, and some other tribes that are still living the old ways. They have never changed. Just whenever the white man was coming in to take over their land, they went so deep into the mountains and so deep into the woods that white men won't go, and that's where they set up, and that's where they've been. Bounty says, I've talked to people that won't go near others. Also, there are ones that look like they want to eat your toes. Yeah. I forgot to put this on silent, guys. I'm sorry. Thanks, Jeff. I want to have to get that added on later on. And that's why I've asked him, hey, Gerald, feral weather friends. Yeah. Uh, like Last of the Dogmen. Yes. Yeah. Much like that, actually, Machete. Yes. Actually, you're right. Hey, Muriel. Absolutely. Yeah, that is very much there's many reports of native tribes still living that way. That's never stopped. They just went way off grid, as we would call it nowadays. Uh, tell, tell me about the gnomes. I'm going to have to do a show on gnomes one day, Gerald. I'm going to have to do that. Um, but I hear stories from some Appalachia people tell me, oh yeah, the feral people, they just live off grid, and every now and then they come into town, kind of like what old shiners used to do. Well, old shiners never came to town, but once to twice a year, they get some supplies. You just never seen them again. That's kind of the same concept as what some of these Appalachia people are talking about, or these feral people. Now, you on the other hand, you have what is known as actual feral people. These are people that they went back to their primitive state of being, I guess you can say. Like Japanese soldiers, World War II never ended on, and yeah, there's still reports of Japanese soldiers on some of those islands that don't think the war is over. Yeah, exactly. Hey, Caleb, how's it going, buddy? Long time no see. How you been, bud? Um, so that we're going to kind of look into both of these aspects, okay? And I want you to keep these both in mind. And I'll be honest, my opinion is I don't think that's what they're calling those people to come into town once in the great while to get supplies is feral people. I think they're off grid people. That's just my personal opinion. Um, but I could be wrong. I'm not going to say I'm right, but yeah, I could be wrong. I call it isolation sickness. Yeah, like Walmart on Black Friday. Yeah. So we're going to talk about one of the most famous cases that's talked about when it comes to feral people, but we're going to talk about some other ones too. This is just the most documented one, and there's some thing. Yeah, Jeff, I got it. I'll have to add you on later. Thank you, buddy. I'd imagine that's what drives these feral types. It could be. I mean, there is some people that live off grid, and they're just like, man, I'm tired of society. I'm tired of all this BS, and they go. They find land and they're gone. Okay, that's just people that live off grid. It's tired of society. I can't fault them. I'm not much further away from that right now as it is myself. I mean, that's not too much of a difference from where I live. I mean, the closest town's 12 miles. Yeah, I can't see my neighbors. My neighbors can't see me. If I didn't have to have money, I wouldn't have to work. I mean, I'd be happy just staying here doing what I do. But I need money, and I'm too old and tankers and broke down to be living off grid by myself. Being isolated from being isolated from humanity can make you forget how to communicate with one. They absolutely can, Muriel, and that's what I'm talking about. Some of these types, the ones I'm looking at, I think they went back more to their primitive state. They're cannibals. They drop off the map and don't want to be found. Yes, there is a lot of people that do that. Absolutely. Yeah, I like it. I like not being able to see my neighbors. I like people not being able to see me from the road. Lack of communication also causes isolation sickness, drives people crazy. It can. I live alone. I'm by myself quite often. The most interaction I have with people is either on here or at work. Outside of that, when it's my time off and I ain't working, even at work, if I'm in my tractor, it's just me. Usually, people passing by me or the fuel guy coming to fuel my tractor up is about the only contact I have. I like it. I like that isolation. I like that loneliness. It's fun. It's some people it drives them crazy. Some people look forward to the fuel guy so they can have someone to talk to. Me, I've got my audio books, my podcast. I'm listening to them, just mowing. That's all I do, and I'm happy and content like that. I love my little hole in the wall up here by myself. I only have one more neighbor in my area, and don't associate with them. I lost the best neighbor anybody could have. It's okay. So let's call apples apples and oranges oranges, folks. I love being isolated. I love it. That to me, that's the only way to live. But it's human nature to have contact with humans of some sort. And if you don't have that contact, you do go insane. We're a pack people. We're a pack mammal. We need that type of interaction. Just some need it more than others. Yeah, solitude and loneliness are different. Absolutely. I'm becoming that way. That's what I want to do. Go way up in the mountains, find a cave and build a home in the earth. Just enjoy the quiet. Yeah, I mean, I like it, but I mean, apples are apples and oranges are oranges. We need some type of human communication. I love my privacy. I love my personal space in my own company, but I also love to be around other humans at time because it can get lonely. I'm like a cat. Yeah, I'm very on the same way. I'll get my little bit of it and I'm happy. If there's too many, I don't like being around too many people. Being around too many people gets me a little too anxious. I have to go away and get away for a little bit, calm my nerves back, and then come back in. I don't do good in crowds, but it's still fun. Solitude, you can have peace, but loneliness is loneliness is longing for company. Well, yeah, we are social creatures by nature. Absolutely, we are. I have my horses and my dogs, and I have my phone. That's all I need. I enjoy being by myself up here in the middle of the woods. Yeah, some people are, Vicky. I isolated myself from my boyfriend 75% of the time. I like to be by myself. Is that by choice? Is it really by choice, Roxanne? I haven't left the house in 2 days. I did last night just because I needed to get some food because I was too hurt to cook. I couldn't lift my right arm very much, so sadly I had to do what I didn't want to do and go to town and get some food. Yeah, being empathetic is a blessing and a curse. Yeah, I mean, now if I found somebody that is so much like me, I would be happy and content with just me and her here. I'd be happy. Every once in a while, I have a little bit of human reaction, but I'm happy that way. A lot of people are not that way, though. Feral fuel guy growls. Yeah, I have an extra bedroom. You're more than welcome to come and visit. Oh yeah. So let's take a look into this feral people stuff here. So I got oh 9 pages of notes. We'll get through all of it or most of it, one of the two. For centuries, tales have swirled about feral wild people inhabiting a uh, notorious national park. Dozens of sites. Man, I should enlarge that print so I can read it on that smaller screen a little bit better. Let me bring it over here, and I'll just have to get back and forth to the chat from time to time. I can't read it on that little bitty screen. Dozens of sightings claim these cannibals dwell in remote Appalachian wilderness, alleged descendants of Civil War deserters living cut off from society. The Great Smoky Mountains National Park, dense with trees, is where at least 5 individuals have mysteriously disappeared. The most famous cases involves Dennis Martin, who was 6 years old on June of 1969. It was Father's Day weekend, and they hiked near the Tennessee North Carolina border. A Martin family tradition. William Martin, his father, and Clyde, his grandfather, and the two boys started at the Cades Cove and hiked to Russell Field, where they camped overnight. Afterwards, they made their way to Spence Field, where they met another family with young boys, also named Martin. So this is one, like I said, this is that one that's probably the most well known. Hey Ray, probably one of the most well known cases out there. So we're going to dive in this first, but we're going to take into some other ones. Most of you all should be pretty familiar with this case, and this is the kind of case that we're going to dive into different aspects of these feral people. It was late afternoon, and the boys were enjoying each other's company. Dennis was wearing a bright red shirt when he and his brother, along with the other boys, planned a prank on the relaxing adults in the Spencefield bald along the Appalachian Trail. The goal was to hide behind the adults and pop out and surprise them. However, the adults knew that the boys were up to what the boys were up to. They watched as three of the boys went one way to sneak back through the bush, while Dennis went in another direction, and all intents and purposes of the disappeared off the face of the earth. So he separated himself from the other boys. And if you start hearing some of these encounters dealing with missing people and with these dealing with these feral people, they seem to get the isolated of the kind. Oh, sorry, what did I miss here? Oh, yeah. That's if you want to send me something, you want to send me a letter, whatever it is, some information, you got something to send. Yeah, it's my PO box. That's what it's for. What did I miss on yours, Kyle? Give me a second here, bud. I went to school with Trini Gibson. Did you? Yeah, I think I remember that one. Yeah, I remember her disappearing from a school trip or something. I can't remember. Yeah, that sounds familiar, Kyle. I don't know if we're going to talk about that one today or not. Um, Over the years, there have been people who have mysteriously gone missing from the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. One of the most famous cases in the disappearance of the young boy named Dennis Martin. These baffling disappearances, like that of Dennis Martin, have sparked internet rumors and other theories. Feral people and wild men in the mountains. Jeffrey said this group of feral people has been known to have cannibalistic tendencies. Adding to the lure, podcaster Donnie Laws mentioned on his channel the first report of any wild man in the U.S. were around 1877 in western North Carolina. Some gold miners ran into one as they were going to work in the mines. Now, that was one I didn't know about. That's why I wanted to put that in there. Yes, they can, Roxanne. Um, that was one I didn't know about. Now, I've seen stuff them talking about the Civil War people going way off grid and disappearing. Deserters or people is like, hey, the war's over, but these Yanks are still doing what they're doing. So they went to the mountains. They went to the mountains, hide from the Yankee soldiers that was doing the stuff that was doing. I've heard reports of that. I didn't know about this one about the miners in 1877. That's why I wanted to put that in there because we're starting to see a trend here, and I want to get that on that path of that trend. Yeah, not a problem. So I think it's important that we kind of look at this. Hey, Don. Yeah. There was so many people in there because the time was wrong on the deal. So I just started 30 minutes early. There was already like, I don't know, 12, 14 people in the chat. So I was like, oh. The three boys performed their prank all in good fun when Dennis did not pop out from from the bushes. William got up to look for him. He hadn't been out of sight for more than 5 minutes, but William's search quickly turned frantic. The father ran back up the trail towards Russell Field, hoping the boy had gotten turned around and gone in the wrong direction. The others combed the area. Clyde eventually hiked out to the park ranger station, arriving after 9 p.m. By then, a massive storm had arrived, drenching the mountains in heavy rainfall and dropping overnight temperatures into the 50s. Now, this is something important, folks. To you all, 50 may not seem cold, but if you're wet and it's 50, you become hypothermic like extremely quick, like really, really, really quick. I'd run around here in just a t-shirt in 50 degrees. But if I'm outside and I'm wet in 50 degrees, I'm freezing. That wet will zap your heat from your body, your core temperature quick, along with that 50-degree weather. So the combination of being cold and wet is extremely deadly. You have to keep that in mind when we're talking about this stuff. Yeah. Um, that's something that's very important. People misunderstand that all the time. They're like, "Oh, who gives a crap? How can you get hypothermia? It's 50 degrees out." And yeah, it's 50 degrees, but you're wet. That's why when you lay on the ground out in nature, you want a minimum of 2 inches of barrier between you and the bare ground. That way you can keep and maintain your body temperature. The more the better, but you want a minimum of 2 inches of something between you and the ground. Otherwise, the ground will literally zap your body temperature quick. That sounds 411 stuff, disappearance, and other weather stuff. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit, Jonaside. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Yeah, it will. It'll make it draw up all over. Absolutely. But I want you guys to understand this differences. This is old Bushman survival stuff, woodsman survival stuff. For people who don't know, I've lived in the woods most of my life. I was a Marine. I didn't always have a tent or a shelter half or anything. There's been many a times I've took my poncho liner and made a shelter half and used my ISO mat. That way I can have something to sleep and keep me covered at night. The ground can zap your temperature quick. Yeah, I mean, Gerald, yeah. I mean, I can see that being a possibility. Absolutely. Am I saying that it is? No, but I'm saying, yeah, it's possible. Yep, it does. It has that grounding field. Absolutely. We'll get back into this here. Where did I leave off here? The next day, the search was hampered by 2.5 inches of rain and dense fog. As word spread of the missing boy, a massive response crew um, came in and conducted this search party. So this case here with Dennis Martin is one of the biggest search groups that was ever assembled to find this young boy. It hit 72 degrees today. Front hasn't been through yet, and tomorrow's 20. Yeah, it was 70, somewhere around 72, 68 degrees, something like that earlier today, Ray. And I mean, it just dropped. It's 30 degrees, real feel of 18 now. Yes, but did you ever drink out of a horse's print? Didn't have to, Carl, because I was smart and had 2 canteens. And I had my iodine tablet so I can get river water and pop a couple iodine pellets in there and to have me some drinkable water. Didn't taste great, but it was drinkable water. So let's look at the counterproductive search party. Over the next few weeks, the search party grew to an widely and counterproductive size. Boy Scouts, National Guard members, multiple rescue squads, even a group of 71 Green Berets. Folks, let that sink in for a second. All those other people, National Guard from time to time, but let those two things kink in. National Guard and even 71 Green Berets joined the search party for this little boy. So keep that in mind. And even a group of 71 Green Berets who had been on maneuvers in western North Carolina came and searched for the boy. Helicopters arrived as well. With so many searchers and volunteers tramping all over the wet mud ground, any clue or scent that lingered after the massive rain was quickly lost. Dennis turned 7 the week as Dennis turned 7 the week as searchers. Oh wait. Oh, that week as the searchers exhausted themselves to no avail. He turned 7 the week they during the week they were searching. There were boy-sized footprints of someone wearing an Oxford shoe, like Dennis had, and the other foot bare. Family members said that the prints were too big to belong to Denny. And researchers were skeptical as that the area had been searched by Boy Scouts previously who could have left the prints. A single sock and shoe were also found, but it is unclear if the shoe was the right type or size, or if it was the correct foot to correspond with the footprint. Those were essential to the only clues that were of Dennis's disappearance. The search for Dennis was the largest in the park's history. Dennis was 6 when he disappeared and was never seen again, probably. So I want that to sink in a little bit here. See if I missed any comments here. Hey George, how's it going? Hey KR, I always dig out a hole my body shape 6 inches or so. Pack it out pine needles packing. Yeah, bedding from heat retention. Yes. Oh man, cedar needles, pine needles, some of the best insulation, and they're insect repellent. Pine needles, cedar needles, they'll protect you very good. Absolutely, and they'll help keep insects off of you. Absolutely. Leaves, dry leaves is a good insulator too. Yeah. Sorry, I just seen that, Gerald. Yeah, yeah. Even dry leaves. Yep. No, no, Jessica, they ain't. Good to see you. Okay, there we go. So I'm caught up on that. So we're starting to see something here now. It could be coincidence. It could be not. But why was the National Guard and 71 Green Berets brought into this? Now, when I was in boot camp in Ago, there was a kid that came up missing. Even though we was boots, we were in boot camp, we were boots. We got called in to get ready and go help search for this little girl across the Mexican border. Now they found her just before we deployed out. So that's pretty bad when you're getting a bunch of recruits to deploy out to look for a missing kid. I don't know if I want to go into details of what happened to her, but how she was found was not pleasant. And there's a reason why I don't like drug cartel. And I'll tell you, I'll just leave it at that. Hey, William. Yeah. Um, so, I mean, it does happen, but it's very rare. Now, I'm not saying they were just like, hey, dude, we need to find this kid. So we're gonna volunteer to help. That absolutely could be what the possibility is. My situation was a little different because we knew what was involved with this missing kid. That's the reason why we got called up. It's a little bit different than a missing kid on a hiking trip. It's just interesting how two military branches join in on this search in this area just for a missing hiker. Even though it is a boy, that is still pretty extreme. So there must have been some importance or something been known to local officials. That's why it done. Hey, Amy, how's it going? And that's why they're brought in. I don't know. It could be either one. It could have been just like, hey, dude, we're going to help you find this kid because this is a kid. Or it just could be they knew something and that's why they got involved. I'll be honest with you. That's really cut and dry of what it would be. There ain't going to be no other reason for it. I'm not saying that it won't because it does happen that they can say we're going to help. Just very unlikely. So there's a testimony from an old testimony that was been brought up from one of the family members. So a family member from Carthage, Tennessee was in the mountains that day looking for wildlife in Cage Cove, several miles from where Dennis went missing. They left without ever knowing about the search of the missing boy. Weeks later, when the father, Harold Key, learned about the search, he called officials to report hearing a scream and a figure running through the woods. News reports at that time indicated that Key's son thought the figure was a bear. Later, they determined it was a disheveled mind hiding in the bushes. It was a dude out of his mind hiding in the bushes. He was definitely avoiding us. Key was quoted at the time. Officials discounted the connection because of the distance and the rough timeline. Key provided. It was nearly impossible to think that someone could have snatched the boy and carried him away to the spot. Still, many have seized on the reported sighting, along with dozens of internet-driven um, people or content creators, as an indication that Dennis was carried off the mountain. Reportedly, Dennis's father believed the boy was kidnapped. At one point, a reward was offered for his safe return. So, when people like me who look into this stuff, we're always called conspiracy theorists because we look outside of the normal way of thinking. Because we know what goes thumps in the night in them woods. And that's kind of what you're seeing on opinions like this one. I want to go there, Kevin. I ain't gonna lie to you. I want to go there. Yeah, Bounty. Okay, I'm caught up. But I want to put that in there because you got to understand that this is how people look at us when we talk about this type of stuff. I've often wondered if it was, Sasquatch, Dogman, or feral people that could have took this, or something super. Oh my god, dude! Wow, seriously, dude, that's foul. There's something wrong with you, dude. You need to get you need to get checked. You need to get your gut checked. My god, that's foul, dude. I could taste it. That's nasty. Don't snort at me. You're the one that did it. Sorry, man. My dog just fouled up the air here. Yeah. Oh God, Roxanne, that was horrible. Me too, Bounty. Me too. But if something supernatural or cryptid related, probably not feral people, but if something supernatural or cryptid related had snatched up Dennis Martin, then the possibility of him covering that kind of distance is not out of the realm of possibility. Here's some theories on the feral humans. Over the years, this alleged account made it to the internet, where um, good and bad people both have kind of talked about it. I had a different word in here, but the more I think about it, it's probably not good to put of the bad people. That's why I kind of changed it there for a second. Have teamed with conspiracy theorists and other curious folks who formed wild theories about feral humans in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Regarding what happened to Dennis Lloyd Martin, one of the most popular theories involved wild men, feral humans who live and survive in the mountain wilderness and go about snatching livestock and children at night. So they're trying to dispute it, but admitting that these things actually exist. This is what I find funny about these people. There are videos on YouTube and social media, not of wild men, of course, but of authoritative sounding people discussing the wild men and FBI cover up, as it is simply common knowledge. These wild men are something akin to little Bigfeet. People believe some humans have lived in the wild so long that they are closer to beasts than men. Some believe that they have their own language and apparently quite a putrid smell that forewarns of their arrival, which is just ineffective feraling, if you ask me. Or I'm sorry, that was a comment by someone I forgot to take off. I was looking at comments from a bunch of people. But no, I'm sorry, I forgot to separate it. I wanted that. That's right, I wanted that, but I forgot to separate it. I wanted this comment. So this person's comment comment, which I found interesting because it makes sense. It actually makes sense. Now, this person said that the putrid smell, what was there, is an ineffective farrowing, if you ask me. Alleged they are be cannibals to make you wonder what they're doing in livestock. So I wanted this person's comment, and I apologize. I forgot to separate it when I was getting my notes done. I wanted that in there for a reason because this person, although doesn't believe in feral people, they bring up a very good point. If they smell, hey, Jeremy, if they smell that bad and you can smell them before you're coming, you're going to be alerted to them, which is going to make an ineffective hunting strategy. Now, this is just me from a hunter's point of view and from a military point of view. This is just my mind, how it works when it's dealing with this stuff here. Okay. No worries, Machete. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but in my mind, as a hunter, as a veteran, I can agree to a point with this person's point of view because it's true. I don't know how many times that I was sent to take care of an issue, and literally I could find a location by smell. Look how many times law enforcement pulls somebody over and catches them with something they ain't supposed to do, or catches them when they're drunk and driving because of smell. Smell is a huge factor for any predator. They don't. God, dude, you did it again. Holy. Wow. Sorry, guys. If your prey can smell you coming, they're going to run. So I don't necessarily believe they have a foul smell. Because I agree, it would be an ineffective way to hunt. Yes, they do, Bounty. Yes, they do. I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but I guarantee you can ask a lot of hunters, a lot of law enforcement, and a lot of military what I just said there, and I guarantee you a lot of them's going to agree with me. I'm not feeding him sea rations. I think he found the remains of something. Dang, dude. I'm gonna stick a cork up there. That's bad. No, go. No, it's not petting time. You stink. Your farts are bad. He's literally right here underneath me, letting this stuff go. Yeah. This is his favorite. When I'm at my computer, he's always laying either on my feet or at my feet, and that's where he's at. Now he's up walking around because he's tooting. If you're gonna do that, go to the other room, dude. Do that to the cats, not me. They'll like it better than I will. I don't know. I mean, let's hear it from you hunters out there. What's your opinion? Do you think this guy is kind of hitting on something right? You think the smell would scare off the prey? All you hunters, you Leo, military veterans. Maybe it's just me, but I don't know how many times I've found my quarry by just smell alone. Yeah. Yeah. He's worse than I am. It's really sad when I'm like almost asleep. Like I'm right there, and all of a sudden, ow! Judo chop to the nose. Yeah, it's bad. But I just kind of wanted to see what you guys thought. That's why I left that comment in there. I remember that now. I found that, and I was like, this guy's kind of got a good point. So one of the theories is wild men may not be feral. Wild men could be descendants of mountain people who went deep into the forest before there was a park. and like the tribes of the rainforest, operate outside the realm of society. We were kind of talking about that earlier. One guy who made a very nice video walking his fairly rounded weenie dog through a cemetery speculated that feral person could be an indigenous person who slipped away before the Trail of Tears and survived in the forest well into the 1900s. We kind of talked a little bit about that too. He said some of the feral people spoke English, others their own language, and still others were without discernible speech. The same guy indicated that the FBI paid his uncles to hunt the feral population before Dennis's disappearance. Remember those Vietnam era Green Berets? Our friends with conspiracy theories would have. This guy said our friends with conspiracy theories would have us believe they weren't there to as part of the search party. People theorized their real mission was to find feral humans. So we kind of hinted at that a little bit at the beginning of the show too, and that kind of coincides. Depends on the wind direction and the theory, the territory for smells. Yeah, I'm glad I can't. Mine do. And now the truth comes out. Yeah. Uh, to me, smells are a part of the hunt. Yeah. Well, I'm talking about if you're prey and you smell something coming after you that don't smell normal, you're going to run. When I go hunting, I try to mask my scent. Yeah, I do too, Arlen. I do too. I use earth. I literally rub leaves and stuff on my body. City humans don't even think their own, yeah, stinks. So obviously they don't smell. Yeah. 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 I'm telling you, I can find a lot of people just by their smell in the dark. But this guy, I had this guy's comments in there because he was kind of hinting at the same thing that I was talking about. For the military to get called in on something like this, although it does happen, it's extremely rare for them to go on a search party like this. So that's why you remember my comment earlier says makes me wonder if there's wasn't something else going on. This guy kind of talks about what I was leaning towards was that right there. It's like the difference between dry or wet deer, elk, and exactly. The earth smells different dry than it does wet. Humans who do not bathe, I can find them in the dark in a herd of sheep. Humans who do not bathe, they have a completely different stink about them when they don't bathe. So I don't know what you guys think, but I wanted that comment for a reason because he is really accurate about what he says. Heard the green BS went in full kit. I've heard that too, Don, but I didn't want to say that. I was kind of leaving that part out because I wanted people to kind of think about where I'm going before I talk about that. But yes, that's what I heard too. They went in full battle rattle. Wind direction and terrain has a lot to do with sense traveling. They absolutely do, William, and the wind can change at any time. So if feral people are hunting other people or other livestock or other animals, having an odor like humans have would cause them to be a very unsuccessful hunter. We ate Chinese food to smell like Chinese. We also smoked Chinese tobacco. That way we stayed hidden. Yeah, and drank their tea. Their tea even has a different smell, Caleb. We did that a lot of times, no matter what country I was from. I tried to learn their customs and as much as their language as I could at that time. And I would learn how they dressed. I would learn how they ate, how they did their own customs so that I can try to blend in. So that's why I put that guy's comments in my notes because I really think he was pretty spot on. I'm not saying it ain't. I'm just saying from my point of view, my experiences. I've only been in the military 13 years. My experiences, You're not going to have the National Guard and the Green Beret go on a missing child excursion. You're not going to do it unless there is a big threat in an area. Caleb, you can probably back me up on that. If I'm wrong, but that's just my experiences. Here's some conflicting reports. In his account, or in this account, conflicting with most reports, though, if they were hunting feral people, they would be armed. Not open. Not no one reported seeing heavily armed Green Berets looking for Dennis. So if they had, if we have had bands of cannibalistic humans roaming the park in abduction of eating folks, why don't we know about it? Pretty simple, really. They hide a lot of that stuff. Well, that answer is simple as it is idiotic. This is this guy's opinion here. We, the good people of East Tennessee and Western North Carolina, make a lot of money off of parks, and we don't want to lose the cash cow by telling the world about feral humans. We're eventually we're willing to go and live next to these humans out of a H.G. Wells novel to keep y'all coming to our parks. Now, this is what this guy says. Now, he says they didn't have no weapons. Don is right. I've heard reports that they were in battle rattle. I don't know for sure. I can't tell you if they were or were not. Unless I can find the orders, I cannot 100% tell you they were in full battle rattle or light battle rattle or not. Yep, blending in important. We sweat out what we eat. Yes, absolutely. That is correct. So I want you to keep that in mind. This person was absolutely correct. You will lose money by people knowing that these things exist. That's why so much of our cryptids, our paranormal, and our supernatural is hidden from us because you'll lose money. People are not wanting to come there with the possibility of getting eaten. So also heard someone saw a big hairy thing on two legs running with something and small kids on the shoulder. Yeah, we kind of talked a little bit about that, Don. One of the relatives, Mr. Key, had seen someone running through the woods a week or so. I can't remember now. I have to look at the notes again. After a few days after his disappearance, and the search party and the news shrugged it off, said they couldn't fit in the time frame. I said if it was supernatural or cryptid, it very much could fit in that time frame. Yeah. And I mean, that's why I'm putting this. I'm not saying this is what happened to these people. I'm not saying feral people is what happened to these people. These are stories that's tied to feral people. I firmly believe they could be something else if not feral people. Now I can't remember this guy's name. I forgot to put it in here, but he has a debunking theory which I find interesting. While the idea of feral people isn't exactly likely, the mountains are indeed a good place for people who want to get lost. While I don't believe that even in 1969 a tribe of people could go undetected in the forest for long, which I can dispute that in a heartbeat. While I don't believe that for long could for long could a loner or hermit live in the mountains or for months or even years? Yes, they can. Sure, could a hermit in anywhere near Cage Cove? No, we read stories of people who adopt new identities and go live on the hiking trails as long hikers. We hear about wanted criminals who go into the mountains to hide in remote areas of the park. The key is that most of these people interact with some version of civilization, either coming out to restock or resupply or meeting other hikers along the trail. But in today's society, hermit homesteading people or homesteading deep in the woods is unlikely. For example, could they build a structure, hut, hunt, and live off the land? I don't think they'd have to do a little farming. They'd have to do a little farming as well. I suppose it's possible people hid steals and moonshine operations up there, but still seems unlikely. Now, this guy, he has a good point to a degree. He has a very good point to a degree. Let's see if I made it here, missed anything here. Okay. Most important hunting senses are hearing, yep, visual and smell. I think people are really getting confused the terms feral people or inbred wild people. Yep, I can see that. Area I was born. Oh yeah, cool. You was born in '69. It was the summer of '69. So, although he has a point to a degree, I strongly disagree with him on quite a bit. Yes, is it harder nowadays than it used to be, especially in that during that time? Yes, it's harder nowadays to do what he's talking about. But there is documentations that date back for a very, very long time of people that were way out in the middle of nowhere that humans do not travel. We have not searched every square inch of this continent. We just have not done it. So the possibilities of somebody hiding way up in the mountains, deep into the woods, is not out of the realm of possibility because we just simply don't travel that far. Yes, I have, Roxanne. Oh, dude. They can find caves to live in, and if they are getting disability or ISS, they wouldn't need to work. Yeah, yeah, Don. I was born in the Black Hills of Kentucky. It was so far back, some never saw a black person. Yep. I remember when one of my cousins saw one, it was a hoot. I was born in 51. Yep. When I was born in St. Joe, I did go to school with two. In fact, I dated one of them. And then when I left, I never seen another one until I went to the military. And that was in the 80s and 90s. Hey, Unreal. Brian from Black Mass Paranormal researches feral people and also goes out looking for them. Yeah. I think I remember that. Yes. Yes, Amy. I think you're right. Um, that's why I see where this guy's coming from. That's why I wanted to put it in there. But I do agree with a lot with what he's saying because it is possible and it does actually happen. According to the term feral, anyone human not living in the sticks or brick house is feral. We need to adjust to the definition. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's why I was talking about that at the beginning, William, when I said there is some Appalachian people that call feral people just the ones that come into town once or twice a year, just like the shiners used to do. I said, I don't think those are the actual feral people. What I'm talking about, the cannibalistic, the ones that are more primitive and more animal than they are human, that is the feral people. And I was talking about that at the beginning of the show. I strongly believe, even though the Appalachian people call them type feral, I think it's a misidentification. That's just people living off the grid. That's what I was wanting to know. What exactly are the meaning of feral people? I can be considered feral. Yeah, any of us can be considered feral due to society standards, even me. I mean, even I considered feral to society standards. And that's why I believe it's a misidentification. And I've tried to tell these people, I said, I think you're wrong. You're talking about, off gridders. You're not talking about feral people. No, we call them feral people. That's what we call them. Well, I understand that. But they still deal with society. I'm talking about the feral people who do not deal with society, that hunt society. That is feral people. There was a show on that showed people living off grid. One guy lived in caves in Missouri. Yeah, I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you. I would love. I've thought about doing that myself once. We have a cave clan here in GW, the National Forest, which are said to be aggressive towards humans. There you go. Yeah, I was talking earlier in the show. I was talking about the native tribes. There's Cherokees, there's Sioux, and there's other native tribes that is still known to live the traditional way. They're just so far off grid that people just don't see them or hear about them. I personally have never been able to shake a degree of wildness, tame or not. Yeah, I'm feral to those who who want to try to control me. Hell yeah. Cave claims are true definition of feral people. There you go. I mean, right there. There you go, folks. I mean, Williams hitting something pretty hard here. They to me, feral people are people who went back to their primitive beast-like state of mind. That's a true feral person, not an off-gridder, not one that escaped the trail of tears. People that really went back to being primitive, animalistic type of living. So this guy talks about black bears eating berries. So let's take a look at this theory. People also theorize that bears or wildlife could have had something to do with the disappearance of Dennis Martin. What about bears? The area where Dennis went missing is known for wildlife: bears, snakes, bobcats, feral hogs. Hey, interesting word, feral hogs. For example, all all roam the woods in that area. Officials say it's unlikely that any of those animals would have been the reason for his disappearance. However, officials at the time conceded it was a dry summer. There were reports of animals seeking food in places and ways they normally wouldn't. Had Dennis been snatched up by a wild animal, it seems likely that hundreds of searchers would have found at least scraps of the bright red clothing. And that is very important right there. And that's why I do not think it was a wild animal that got him. Because they hit there was no kill spot. There was no shredded clothing. There was no signs of that whatsoever. You're just more spiritual than primitive. Caveman people, yeah. Um, Eric, have you ever heard of the Cherokee being as far north as Cheyenne? Yes, in Virginia area. I was watching a video on Daniel Boone. Yes. In fact, I believe that is one of the areas that they're still said to roam, if memory serves me correctly. Unreal. I've seen people build $1 million homes inside caves so that it's funny to think they would be considered Daryl according to society because they're off grid. Yeah, GHE. We have some medicine people that never returned to so called civilizations because they became too wild while gathering their spiritual power. I've heard that countless times, William. Yeah. Black bears will eat about anything. I've seen them do it. Yeah, Roger, in our area, black bear's going to run from you. They're not going to snatch up a little kid. Unless the little kid's messing with their cubs, black bear's going to run from you. I don't know about there, but that's how it is here. The circle has great things coming. Yeah. I really don't want to be into society right now. I'm more, man, I tell you, I like it where I live. I'm not going to lie. So This guy's right. In my point of view, my perspective, my way of thinking, this guy's right. I don't think it was animals that took the young boy because he was right. The one thing he left out, there was no kill spot. If an animal would have took the young boy, there would have been a kill spot. When an animal makes a killing, they leave what's called a kill spot. It's a place that's all jacked up, that's tore up, there's blood everywhere. Kill spot. There was no clothing left. There was no bones, no flesh, none of that stuff left. I don't personally don't think it was an animal that took the young boy. Bears get a lot of bad raps. Blame, yeah, they do. That's crazy to me. I have always known them as being in these North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, later Oklahoma, of course. Yeah, there has been reports because they people have seen them come close to town before. Reports of native people still living the old ways. They have been spotted. They're just so far off grid that nobody can find them because modern society is superficial. Yeah, there sometimes the things are learned every day. Yeah, new things are learned every day. Absolutely. Bigfoot shouldn't be called an animal like some people say. No, I believe Bigfoot is a descendant or type of us. Cherokee Range was all the way up into the Pennsylvania until the Seneca people pushed them back to Maryland. Yes, and the Seneca even pushed them further south, didn't they, William? If memory serves me correctly. A cougar will attack a child before a bear unless cubs are involved. I don't know the story, but I don't think animals did it. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. New things, yeah. I cannot be my authentic self in the society without being judged. Agree 100%, Muriel. I agree. I agree. So this other guy, this is his theory, and he's going off the internet rumors about the sad disappearance. If you fall down online rabbit hole, you'll find some folks pushing hard on the idea that feral humans live in the mountains. You'll find people embellishing the words of Harold K. and his family. The scruffy person K and his family encountered just after hearing a scream was wearing a bearskin, allegedly. He was carrying something on his shoulder. That something was a boy shaped and wearing red. Each version I've seen online theories add details that aren't found in the original reports. Did Key see something? Maybe. What did Key see? Was it a person? It's hard to say. And to a degree, I can see his point of view. That's why I added his opinion in here because he does make a point. And there is a lot of what I call clickbaiter content creators that will morph it into what they want to get people's attention. And I think it does not only the family, the boy, and the situation all a disservice. That's why I'm not going to. Hey, I'm just going to tell you what I know, and I wasn't there. Yeah, everything I'm getting second, third, fourth hand. Um, cheers, Nighthawk. I agree, Eric. Bears or any other type of wildlife will run from people. Yep, I was referring to them eating meat, berries, nuts, and even seen the bears garbage. Yeah, no, I was Roger. I was reading a report. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was reading a report, and that's what this guy said. I wasn't talking about you, bud. Yeah. Nighthawk in population, Cherokee are the second in the highest population. Yep. Maryland was the cutoff because of the trading with the Cherokee, Shawnee, and several other nations like Lenape, Susquehanna, and okay. I couldn't remember. For some reason, I thought they got pushed further south, but it might have been the white man that pushed them further south. That might be what I'm thinking. That reminds me of being in West Glacier Park in Montana, camping and animals sniffing around the side of my tent. I knew whatever it was could smell us. and I was laying motionless, heart beating hard. Yeah. Usually I get the hell out of here and it'll run off. Bears were not known to be on the side of the park that we were in. Okay. Unreal. Let's see. Cherokee is what 90% of the people claim top to be, even if they have no idea they are. Yeah. Only reason why I know, Don, is because when the Trail of Tears came through Pineville, Missouri, some of my family married the women off of the Cherokee off the Trail of Tears. That's the only reason why I know I got Cherokee in my family. In fact, one of my late great aunts, she was the last of the full blooded Cherokee in my family. Um, I remember my very last family reunion with her in Pineville on our family property. My uncle owns a cabin that's built on our old family property, and she was telling us the stories of what happened. Cherokee are old cousins of Six Nation tribes like Mohawk and yep, and a lot of them tribes were fell under the what was that called, the Iroquois Confederacy, if memory serves me correctly. Okay. Now this guy here, he's talking about Key's problems with the report, which I found this interesting. Some of this I agree with, some of it I don't. Key's report came weeks after the actual encounter. Published reports at the time are thin on details. In 2016, Michael Brochard, a researcher and author, spoke to Key, who was 90 at the time. Key said he observed an unoccupied white vehicle. It was parked along the road in the sea area of the park near Rawlins Creek in his book. Forever Searching, as was the name of the book. Richard provided his account. Mr. Key said he walked about 300 to 500 yards into the woods and observed a middle aged white male. Mr. Key said the man was by himself. The man walked quickly to the road and entered the white vehicle and drove off at a high rate of speed, throwing gravel into the air. Quote, the vehicle was heading in the direction of Cage Cove. Mr. Key later recalled that when the man saw him and his family, he began walking faster. Mr. Key said the man appeared to be perspiring heavily and was acting nervous. Mr. Key recalled he said to his wife, "That man, he is thinking strange thoughts." Quote, forever searching. Burchard later adds that Key now says he heard a child scream for help and then a scream of pain that came from some distance away. He did not, however, see the child. So we're seeing here, and this is something when you're trying to get to the root of in the truth of the situation that you run into. People's stories change. That's why I tell people all the time, your story is going to be different from the time it happened, and it's going to be a difference a week later. Your adrenaline's running 90 to nothing when it happened. So I mean, your mind is trying to comprehend and trying to put into place everything it seen to make sense, so your mind doesn't go nuts. A week later, you add things, you take things away, your story changes. Piece of historical knowledge for you all: the Lakota Nation Sioux broke off from the Cherokee Nation in 1260 AD. I forgot about that. Thank you, William. Yeah, I was thinking they were tied together somehow or something, so like that title. Yeah. Do you want to do commercial now? Been 1 hour. Oh, has it? Oh God, it has, hasn't it? Yeah. Let me get caught up on the comments, Roxanne. Thank you. I really had lost track of time. Okay. Looks like I'm caught up. Um, It's Sunday. It's Sunday, so let's do some Dark Angel Medical. I gotta wait for everything to load up here. Okay, here. Well, hopefully that played for you because it didn't play on my end. So I hope I timed it right for you. If you're looking for the best first aid kits, trauma kits, or feral people hunting kits, look no further than Dark Angel Medical. There's a reason why I carry it. You can carry it on in my vehicle and on my field pack when I'm out doing investigations or just running around the woods. I trust Dark Angel Medical. I don't get paid a dime for promoting this product. I like his product, Kerry Pocket Doc Davis's product so much. I asked him to promote it. Use Cryptid20 for as a code and get 20% off. If you have FSA or HSA, you can use that to buy your kits. Kerry is the godfather of kits for life. If you use the kits to save a life and you get let him know about it, he replaces what you used in that kit absolutely free. His medicine has a 2-year shelf life onto it. They are expensive, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. You pay for what you get. You do. I can't afford to buy one straight out myself. I use Sezzle. 4 payments, the thing's paid off. That's what I use to buy my Dark Angel medical kits. But that's all I carry. Do I still have the old Army homemade first aid, backpack? Yeah, I still have it. I don't carry it around like I do carry stuff because it's took something this big and that wide and condensed it into something like this and about that wide. That is so much easier to carry along with all the rest of the stuff. If you need somebody that is certified for your first aid and trauma training, Dark Angel Medical does have classes. Kerry will come and do the training. He is certified and can recertify you. If you're looking for some good good refreshment or educational classes, you can go to Dark Angel Medical 5115 on YouTube or Dark Angel Medical on Instagram. And for some reason that didn't pop up. Um, and he has videos on those showing you how to do proper first aid and trauma treatment. I highly recommend taking a look at them. So if you're in the market, get you some Dark Angel Medical. You won't be disappointed. My dad, because I said I had Blackfoot. Oh, okay, good. It played. Thank you. I hope I timed it right, Roxanne. The Western tribes had little time for interaction other than fighting since the tool of war became more powerful. Yeah. Never ever pushes out store no more than I do mine. I mean, a big separation before this one happening now. Okay. I got mixed up on some stuff. Would you agree that the East had close to 500 years of interaction while the Western tribes had close to 50 to 100 years before wars ended? I'd say you're probably pretty close. You're probably pretty close on that one, Unreal. I don't know for sure, but quick thinking about it, I say you're probably hitting the nail on the head. If not, you're damn near hitting it on the head. I'd say you're pretty close. Uh, um, this is this person's theory. Problems with these theories and unsustained claims, and I thought this was okay. Yeah, no, I read that one. I thought this was important. I get some aspects what this person's talking about. I can kind of agree with it. Some of it I don't. First of all, neither wild people nor hermits drive white vehicles. Also, it was 1969. Let's just say Disheveled people acting funny in the woods wasn't a strange then as it would be today. It's more likely that Mr. Key found someone on a trip. Finally, the idea that you could have carried a 6-year-old struggling human being through miles of rough bushes to get back to your car is almost as impossible as a tribe of wild people. That's where I kind of disagree. I agree to a point. Yes, could have been somebody tripping on shrooms or some acid or something like that. Absolutely, that could be what the case is. Could he been done something legal that he didn't want to get caught and he got caught? Absolutely. I do believe cold heartedly, not just in the Smoky Mountains, but in multiple places around this continent and possibly even the world, that there is tribes of wild people. The only wild people here are the ones on the internet. I knew some of the last families to ever live in the park. Some of those people raised livestock on the edge of the park. There was a large group of us that spent the summer of our junior years driving around to the site of every occult and ghost story in the mountains. Glowing caves and satanic churches, we followed all the rumors. However, I've never ever heard of any hint of a tribe of wild people. I have been in the woods after dark. Bears, sure. Watch out for bears. Spearfinger, I've heard the legend. If there was a wild people out there, several people I know are going to get some very sternly worded letters. For people or worse, the people of East Tennessee couldn't cover up wild people, and I strongly disagree with that. If pre-World War I there was an accident or incident with a person and a mistreated circus elephant in the Irwin, a mob of East Tennessee demanded that the elephant be hung in the street to serve as a warning. I suppose to other elephants, am I to believe that the people of East Tennessee are going to hang an elephant from a crane, but are going to keep bands of feral criminals, hominids quiet just to get a few more tourist dollars? No. The question, uh, the question of whether the person or the group of people could effectively hide in the woods is not a likely considered one. In 1984, a group of impossible good looking teens fled the western wilds and mounted a counter insurgency against a massive communist invasion force of Russia and Cubans in the well known Oscar snubbed classic Red Dawn. Now, from a realistic standpoint, the teams led by the older by the excuse me, led by the brother team of Patrick Swayze and Charlie Sheen, were impossibly well supplied, and if we were to try such an endeavor, it would be pretty costly. However, they are they also had to fight the Russian army, which you and I presumably would not have to do if we decided to go native. So let's call that wash. Then there is an issue saying stating staying hidden. Use could only pull this off for a limited time. These kids reportedly had to return to civilization to resupply never established even a rudimentary attempts at farming. So I'll put this in here because this is the one that I want to nitpick, because this is this type of closed mindedness that drives me wild, because this is what keeps people from actually understanding what's going on. Okay. I picked this one because this is the one that I'm going to nitpick a little. So I'm sorry if anybody don't like it. Everything I'm about to say is my views, my opinions, my theories, my hypothesis, and what I've known from my investigations and my experiences. Unless we're forced to by the white people. Yep. So I'm going to read a certain part, tell you my point of view, see what you guys think too. Coordinate this chat community and people wanting me to start a class action lawsuit against YouTube. So, hey, Maynouse, let's start again on this one, okay? This is what irks me. So the first paragraph in his little opinion here. First of all, neither wild people nor hermits drive white vehicles. That part I agree with to a point. If they need to go get supplies, they will have a vehicle. Just because they live out in the mountains doesn't mean they don't need something that they can't get from there. Back in the old days, they had horses, they had mules, or they walked. In 1969, we had vehicles. So if someone was living off like that and they needed transportation, and it's not out of the realm possibility of them having a vehicle. So that part, I disagree. Let us just say disheveled people acting funny in the woods wasn't a strange thing as it would be today. That part I agree with. It's more likely that Mr. Key found someone on a trip. That is also a possibility. It was not uncommon for people to go out of sight, out of mind, to do their shrooms, do their acid, do whatever it is they wanted to do, along with stuff that, even though, yes, that's technically illegal, I'm talking about more promising illegal stuff. That is part is true. Um, it is more likely Mr. Key found, or see, finally, the idea that you could carry a 6-year-old struggling human being through miles of rough brush to get back to your car is almost impossible as they travel wild people. And that is 100% false. I'm sorry. That is one that I will strongly disagree with. It is not only is it possible, I'm hurt and I can do it. Is it difficult? Yes, it is difficult. A lot more difficult for me with my injuries, but you still can do it. So I'm sorry, that part of his theory is completely wrong and is proven multiple times. You can find documentations all over the internet of people being able to do that. Military people can do it. When we got a fallen brother or sister that's shot up, flailing back and forth because the pain is agonizing and you got to take them out of that field of fire, we're firemen carrying them out of that situation. And they're struggling or they're passed out. So, yes, you absolutely can do it. And that's why I say he's wrong on that. And that aggravates me because this guy is closed minded. He has not done his proper research to make sure his comments is absolutely correct. Hey, Auntie. And that's what aggravates me. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional, but I don't like when people try to push their narrative as being correct because that's how they believe when their statement is 100% wrong. Next paragraph. The only wild people here are the ones on the internet. Okay, to a degree, I agree with you on that. Not everybody, though. I knew some of the, maybe William, Roxanne, definitely, I knew some of the last families to ever leave the park. Some of these people raised livestock on the edge of park. There was a large group of us that spent our summer of our junior year driving around the sites of every occult and ghostly story in the mountains. I agree with you. Not every single one of them is correct, but I guarantee you I can take you to places that it is. Glowing graves and satanic churches. Glowing graves, yeah, I've never seen a glowing grave. Never. Not saying it's not possible. I've never seen that. So, okay, I'll agree with you on that. Satanic churches? Absolutely, there's satanic churches. We followed all the rumors. However, I never ever heard or hint of a tribe of wild people because you've never researched it. You drove around going, hey, man, like, I heard there's like a thing about these like wild people, man. And like, we need to go check it out. You've never done your research. Native people talk about wild people. Wild people is not a new thing.
Some of your Sasquatch are called wild hairy man. So the possibility of wild people is absolutely true. There's accounts throughout history of this stuff. Let me move on. I've been in the woods after dark. Bears, sure. Watch out for bears. Spearfinger, I've heard the legend. I can tell you now, there's a lot of stuff to suggest that Spearfinger is real. Have I ever seen it? No. There's enough evidence to suggest that it's a damn good possibility it is, and it's one of the old Cherokee legends. So there has to be something to it that I would say it does exist. If there are wild people out there, several people I know are going to get some very sternly worded letters. You should write one to yourself. For the better or worse, the people of East Tennessee wouldn't cover up wild people. I disagree. They absolutely would. And a lot of them talk about it. A lot of them talk about it. So it's not necessarily covering up, but they ain't going to make it wide known because they would lose money. Think about the gas stations, the restaurants, the hotels, shopping places, tourist attractions. All this is going to lose money if people ain't coming. Eric, it was very, very nice and wonderful. How was your holiday, my friend? It wasn't bad. I spent time with my other brother. Being my baby, I spent Thanksgiving with my baby brother. Um, Another brother mine's too far north. I couldn't travel up there, so I have another brother that's close by here, and I went to his house for Christmas. Although I felt bad because I got my times mixed up. I wasn't supposed to be there at 10. I was supposed to be there at 1, and for some reason in my head I said 10, so I showed up when they were unwrapping presents. But it's all right. It was good. I was fully sick and wanted to sleep. Oh, Auntie, that's sad. I was born in the hospital, but from 2 days after I was in the mountains, never went to town until I had to start school. See, there you go. Um, you know, I don't know how you guys feel about this. You may agree with me, you may not. Put it in the comments. I ain't going to shirk you either way. I'm just telling you, a lot of this, what this guy's complaining, saying the reason why it's not true, I could debunk it. Every bit of what he's saying, I could debunk, and I'm doing it. Smithsonian covers feral people up, so why wouldn't the government on every level? Absolutely, William. Absolutely. Like I said, we'll see what you guys think. You guys are hearing my comments, but what I said. The reason why they wouldn't report it has been even heard on a hot mic being talked about. So, yeah, take that theory and he's and it's been debunked. Um, in pre-World War One, there was an incident where a person and his mistreated circus elephant in Irwin, a mob of East Tennessee's or a person and a mistreated circus elephants in Irwin. Okay, a mob of East Tennessee demanded that the elephant be hung in the street to serve as a warning. As opposed to the other elephants, I am to believe that the people of East Tennessee are going to hang an elephant from a crane, but not going to keep bands of feral cannibal humanoids quiet just to keep a few dollars. Yeah. No, the question of whether a person or a group of people could effectively hide in the woods is not likely considered one. But people do it all the time. Literally, even to this day, people do it all the time. Do you realize? And I mean, sadly, at the entrance to my property, it's pretty well. You can tell somebody lives here. Well, you would be surprised on how many people don't realize somebody actually lives here. So if you take that concept and you put it with somebody who lives way out in the mountains, deep ass in the woods, that doesn't have the things I have to indicate that somebody lives here, and people still don't understand that somebody lives here, yes, it is possible. Yes, people's going to hide that stuff so they don't lose money. That happens every single day with a lot of different stuff, not just paranormal, supernatural, and mythological. Things that can endanger people's lives, they keep it hidden so they don't lose that dollar. Yeah, they are going to do it. Roxanne. Oh, yeah, they do, Don. Yeah, they do. Okay, I'm caught up on the comments. So, but people to this day, look how many people are going off grid even to this day. You cannot tell me people don't do that. It happens every single day. So your theory is wrong on that aspect. In 1984, a group of impossible good looking. Oh, so he's talking about a movie. Holly Scrooge, man. That's all I'm going to tell you. Holly Scrooge. Tell me when Holly Scrooge has got something correct. I'll wait. I really, I really want to know when Holly Scrooge has got anything correct. The closest person to being correct, and wasn't even tied to Holly Scrooge, he was doing it on his own because he got blackballed, was um, I forgot his name, but his movie Jesus. That one was the most accurate movie that was ever put out, and that wasn't by Holly Scrooge. So I want to know, when has Hollywood ever got anything correct? I haven't found it. If you can tell me, tell me. Most likely, if something's correct or damn near correct, it was done by an independent and not Holly Scrooge. Imagine what is in the bowels of the Vatican. No kidding. You know, that's all I'm going to say. So you're bringing up a Holly Scrooge movie, Red Dawn, to support your basis. It's a freaking movie, dude. It's a freaking movie. I disputed that movie, and I liked that movie, and I disputed that movie because I was like, why am I going to sit there and take a chance? These guys, no one, Mel Gibson, thank you, William. Yeah, Mel Gibson. He's the only one that's probably got it close, and he wasn't tied to Holly Scrooge because he was blackballed for telling the truth about Holly Scrooge. But they're not. I mean, are you going to take a free meal? Yeah, you're going to take a free meal. But when your enemy is hot on your trails and something mysterious like boxes fall out of the back of the truck, that's going to. God, I don't have anything red. It's going to throw up a red flag. Yeah, I might not want to grab that because something bad might happen to me. It could be poison. It could have explosives. There could be snipers sitting on it. All these theories and many, many more pop out when something like that happens. And for this information, they did hunt. Remember, they had to drink the blood of the kill for the first time. They did hunt in that movie. They didn't farm, yeah, because wintertime. When you see summertime stuff, it looks like there might be a possibility of something like a farm being established in a few split seconds of a scene. Yeah. First movie I ever watched had Jesus and it was Ben-Hur was a good one, Unreal. Yeah. I used to watch Ben-Hur on VHS. That was a long movie, but it was good. They used to make good Christian movies back then. The Vatican and several others are just full of bad energies. Yeah. Yeah, Benny. Georgia Smithsonian and Vatican are both in business of cover-ups. Yeah, I agree. Jason and the Agronauts. Oh, I haven't heard that one in a while. I don't know if I've ever seen it, but I've heard of it. So you're basing your theory off of a fictional movie. Penalty. Passing interference. Bad information. Loss of 15 yards. Loss of down. Sorry. Claymation. I don't know if I've seen that one. All right, let me get back to it. So, I don't know what you guys think about his theories, but that's how I feel, and I can prove every bit of what he said as his truth is false. So, this is this guy's opinion on what happened to Dennis Martin. Occam's razor states that the simplest theory should be preferred to more complex theories or unknown phenomenon. What happened to Dennis Martin? I don't know. But most likely, easily explanation is that he went in the wrong direction and panicked. He likely passed alone, cold, and terrified in the woods. The second likeliest is that an animal got him. Maybe it's a combination of the two. I put this in here because I get what he is saying, and I cannot disagree with what he's saying. His points are really valid because it's true. And we were talking about this in the beginning of the show. I personally don't think an animal was involved. Could he get lost and turn around and sadly succumb to the elements? That is very possible. The only thing that causes concern with that theory for me, and the reason why I'm not set on that theory, is as big of a search party as they had, they never found the remains. And if an animal would have found his deceased remains, there would have been evidence of it, and there was nothing. No credible evidence whatsoever was found. You got the National Guard and the Green Berets. I'm sorry, if they would have found any kind of shred of evidence, it would have gotten reported, and I guarantee you they would have found something of the boy, alive or not. I don't think they hid it. Oh, dude, I think they honestly don't know what the symbols mean. Yeah, they would have found him. Don, they absolutely would have found him. But I agree with his approach is on it, because his approach is credible. It is actually factual. That absolutely what he states could happen and has happened numerous times. I understand what he is saying is if animal, they would have found something. Yes, definitely. Yeah, I agree with that, Bounty. Yeah. But I do see people putting their own meanings to things to benefit themselves, stirring misconceptions up. Yes, Maine, absolutely. The past 2 nights, I've kept hearing hoots, and my daughter says she can't hear them. Or window was open. Our window was open before the temp dropped, and I heard something carry a chicken off last night. Sadly, that lasted for 30, 40 minutes, so I don't think it was a chicken. I think it was something else trying to mimic a chicken. There was a famous case of Dennis Martin kidnapped by a feral human. Yeah, we're kind of talking about that a little bit, Riley. That's the main case that we're hitting on this subject here. And I'm going off of many different theories on this here. And some of it just complete BS, but it is what it is. But yeah, that's kind of what we're talking about, Riley, because that's the most notable cases dealing with feral people. Although I cannot 100% tell you that it was feral people that's responsible. But it's the strongest case, or one of the biggest cases that's attached to them. And that's why I'm kind of talking about it. But it was only a few minutes. How can, wait. Okay. But it was only a few minutes. How can you get so lost? I agree. In a few minutes, up in the big forest, you can get lost very quickly. And when you're 6 years old, a boy, you can be scared, which can also go south quickly. The winds up on the bald can be deafening. Oh, I didn't know that. Especially when a big front comes in through head of storm. You can be feet away from someone and not hear a word they're saying over the wind. I didn't know that. So that actually makes a lot of good sense because I was about to say something that disputed that. But if that's true, if anybody knows if that's true, let me know in the comments. Finally, why wouldn't searchers have found him? Why wouldn't he answer their calls? In the days after he went missing, the creeks were up. If he was near water, he wouldn't have heard searchers. True. Or maybe disorientated. Also true. He hid from them. Maybe he called out and they couldn't hear him. So this, I agree a lot with what he's saying. Now, some of it I didn't know about the noise up there. If that's true, and that type of wind is a buffer to prevent you from hearing or being heard, I can see why he can get lost in a very short time. My question would be, was the winds blowing when he got lost? Okay, let's see what I missed in my comments here. To some people, owls are Riley. To some, owls are a messenger of death or bad omen. Yes, we had four different owls, all talking around my house, and usually I have my experiences at my dad's. He's about a mile and a half away from now. Yeah, I get a lot of them that hoot around here all the time. I hoot back at them. Yeah, I was going to go look, but with some other stuff that was going on at the time, and I didn't have my stuff with me accessible, I was like, yeah, I better not. My family say a truck and a suspicious guy was seen. Yeah, they said it was a white car and a suspicious guy. Yeah, we was talking about that earlier, Riley, which I said is possible. Growling dog. Now, from the location where he went missing to where he was it if it was a human? No, that was not possible in that time frame. And the fact that the story had changed multiple times. Out of nowhere startled me. If that hell that startled me too, buddy. Nations might see the owl as a bad omen. Yeah, some native people believe are a sign of death. Yeah, gave them some food. Okay, America. I've heard both ways about owls. Yeah, I found a spot where they can hide well by the hoops and Amy. So I believe okay. To me, an owl brings morning to watch something sneaky among you. Yeah, I've had a couple different interactions with the owls. Some good, some bad. That's very thoughtful as well. Can it be Bigfoot involved? That is one of the theories that I put out there, Riley, during the beginning of the show. That is quite possible that something supernatural or cryptid could have took this boy. I'm not saying feral people took Dennis. I'm not. Is that one possibility? Absolutely. Cryptids and supernatural beings is another one because they're in the area of Spearfinger. They're in the area of some other stuff too. So all these things are possible. There's no evidence that's just what happened to this boy. If there is, they've got it hidden. So I believe that is a possibility, Riley. I absolutely believe that is a possibility. Oh wow, Auntie. Riley. Okay. Um, this is one guy's theory, and he believes it's something worse than wild people. It's worse than feral wild people, or anyway, a strange abductors hidden in the woods. It's mundane and gut wrenching to think that when he got lost, he may have been found in his simply sat down somewhere and waited. True. The other thing we could know is that the search was a mishmash of good intentioned people who had no business being part of a search party in a high mountains. That coordination was impossible. The introduction of the Boy Scouts was ill conceived. I can see that. The Green Berets might have been helpful, but if a disorientated boy, lost or suffering from hypothermia, saw a group of army men scourging the woods for him, would he have reached out? I would say more than likely yes, but I cannot dispute the possibility of no. Um, any tracks, trails, or clues were likely trampled. I agree. For example, since would have been lost as hundreds of people combed the ground, same ground. Absolutely. If Dennis survived the first night or more, the massive search party ended up working against the hope of finding him. I can see that to a point. Absolutely. That's why you need your main search up front, the ones with the dogs, the experienced trackers. They need to be in front of the main search party. The fact is that the park system completely revamped the way it conducted search parties after Dennis Martin's case. I didn't know that. Lessons were learned. If he passed from natural causes, why didn't they find him in that bright red shirt? I agree. The rain would have driven the boy to seek shelter. Okay, yes. Perhaps in some thick underbrush or someplace as dry as he could find. Had he done that, he could stand right beside me and never see him. He makes a very valid point. Do I agree with it 100%? No. But I cannot deny his point because it's very valid. Um, let's see. Another possibility. He just hot, lost, and was taken by a critter or fell to the elements. Yeah, Riley, I believe you're right. I mean, I can see that as being a possibility. Yes, we're involved, but it's not that uncommon. Actually, for a search party like that, it is actually very uncommon. Very, very uncommon. The only like even during my time on a, we had a missing persons thing pop up for us. The only reason why we were called in is because who was tied to that missing person. It wasn't just a missing person out on a hike. Drug cartel had taken this person. That's the only reason why we got called in on it. And there's been missing persons all the time around the military, all over the world that I've been, and we never got called in on it. That is also a possibility, Caleb. I agree. He probably fell down a mine shaft. That is definitely a very good possibility. All right. Looks like I'm caught up on the comments. But I see what you're saying, Riley, and it was just I just know from my experiences, we've had missing people around us. We didn't get called in except for that one time, and that's because who was involved with the reason why this little girl came up missing. This is a very short one. Unsolved disappearances in the Smoky Mountains, and this is basically a book. I wouldn't mind getting this book. Um, it's got some good stuff in it. Not the greatest in the world, but it's got some good stuff, and it to be an interesting read. And the book's called Unsolved Disappearances in the Great Smoky Mountain. Discuss cold cases and other cases, missing people, and strange disappearances. This is why I would find this book interesting. Now, am I saying this is the end all be all to what happened? No. But it fits with a lot of things that I think would be very interesting. So if you're wanting something to read along that line, thank you, William. Along that lines, that would be a good book to get. So that would I wanted to put that in there because of that. What did I miss? Red is Maine. How come you are not supposed to wear red in the woods? Yeah, I've heard that, Maine. How much? I'm interested. How much evidence you found actually? I mean, to my personal experience, they're attracted to about anything that tickles their fancy, really. And there's a lot of stuff that tickles their fancy. Hawks have much to do with vision, whether in an aspect of the eye vision or other forms of vision. In my opinion, yeah, hawks they got good eyesight. I'm kind of curious on that because I know they like things that please their. So I can't necessarily say red is a. That'd be interesting. I need to see some stuff on that. Got my got my curiosity peaked on that. There it is. Lost my spot. Um, Now this person here talks about some possible remains being found. Years after Dennis went missing, some Gensinger poachers came across the remains of a human boy that had been scattered by scavengers, not terribly far from where Dennis had went missing. Not wanting to go to jail, the poachers kept their mouths shut. What the heck, my guys? It's the it's the 70 I just lost my spot. Yeah, it's the 70s. Go to a payphone and make an anonymous call. I agree with that guy on that comment right there. He's like, yeah, you shouldn't have kept your mouth shut. Yeah. I mean, raise a hand. So who's ever done a prank call by a phone call? Yeah, by a payphone. Sorry, he's got a point. Yeah. Um, Dropping an unsigned note at the mail. DB Cooper can jump out of a plane with 200,000 and never be found. I think you can risk an anonymous tip or two. I agree with this guy on. I love what he's saying, dude, because what he's saying is hilarious. But he's got a damn good valid point. Well, one of the tipsters finally grew a consciousness and told one of the original searchers about what he found. As a result, a search party of 30 made the trek from North Carolina side of the mountains, but years had passed since the sighting. They didn't find anything. Ultimately, I think they were Dennis. Think to where Dennis is now. The mountain wilderness gave him the burial that it gives to everything that perishes on his floor. I think he met his end as a scared little boy, cold and lost, and frantically praying his father and grandfather would find him, despite his dad thinking he was kidnapped. I put that in there for a reason. He has some good points on that. And let's call apples apples and oranges oranges, folks. Any remains on the forest floor is not going to be there for very long. The possibility of it being there years later is extremely low. Not impossible, but extremely low. The only type of remains that might be left over will be clothing. Sorry, man. Too many critters like ivory. What is ivory? Ivory is bone. Once the flesh, all that stuff is eaten away, and all that's left is the bones to bleach on the ground. There's so many critters that eat ivory. If there was any type of remains, most likely, especially years later, it would be clothing. And even then, that is extremely unlikely because of being degraded. I can see that to a point, man. I'm kind of interested though on the reports of why that is. I haven't seen that, so I'm very curious about that. I have to wait until I get an email from you, then you'll get a return of. Oh, I must be missing something else. There's curiosity and draw bugs. Yeah. I wear that neon yellow and I attract bumblebees and wasps and stuff all the time. Owls and crows are very much associated with messengers, though all birds have been reported as messengers. Sitting Bull said a magpie told him he would be. Yeah. Crows, okay. Bears, okay. Didn't anyone know about the guy that was killed in Nashville, Tennessee area of the Smoky Mountains? He had a device to let him see reptilians, and he was unalived. Yeah, I think we talked about that before. Probably they remember me because I fed them. Okay. Okay, good. So I can get back to that. See, we got one really long one and then a short one left. What am I doing on time here? Oh God, we're at the 2 hour mark already. Being as I started a little bit early, if you guys are up for it, I'll continue these last two. We'll just have a little bit longer of a show today. Are you guys up for that, or you want me to go ahead and save these last two for another one? This next one's a really long one. Oh, this one was recently? Okay. I'll see what you guys think. You want me to go ahead and continue on? Just do a little bit longer show than usual. Things we started 30 minutes early. Okay, I got a yes. Okay. Okay, we'll just go ahead and we'll finish this out. It's only two left, just one long one. So this guy's theory is basically why would a father assume kidnapping? And this is kind of where this guy's theory came from. It's easier. William watched his boy walk into the woods. 5 minutes later, he was gone forever. I agree. That'd be one of my first fears too. Is that one of my daughters got kidnapped. So I agree with this part too. I agree with it. It would be maddening. He was just right there, and then he was gone. The crushing guilt, the pain, it almost unimaginable. How could you possibly cope? Maybe by clinging to unexplained theories. I agree. It sucks, but I agree. It's been more than 50 years since Dennis disappeared in the woods. That's enough time for the wild internet theories to be seem to go so wrong. It was another era, after all, which much more in common with the 100 years that preceded it. Then why? Yeah, I hear you, but I'm in the middle of something, honey. I miss you too. I love you too. Yeah, I know. Maybe by clinging to, say, wait, oh, sorry. The legends of the Smoky Mountain feral folk have only grown more common with times, as Brian details, quote, recently there has been an increase of reports of these people, end quote. pointing out that their alleged penchant of for some yes, come here, lone mountain hikers, particularly targeting the most vulnerable. Given the vast wilderness of the national parks, it is not impossible for hikers to lose their bearings, yet the mystifying disappearances of Smoky Mountains remain alarming. And I will admit, even some of the most experienced hikers in the world can get lost, especially if something changes a little. One such baffling case is that of the Themal Polly Melton, who vanished on September 25th, 1981, while hiking slightly ahead of her companions. Once she crossed over the hilltop, Polly was gone without a trace. Now, this to me is I find these reports interesting because there's a pattern. Trini Gibson was just 16 when she mysteriously disappeared from the Great Smoky Mountains, October 8th, 1976, during a school field trip. Christopher Cessna, 45, also vanished in the area in 2011 while hiking alone. The following year, Derek Luking purchased an array of camping gear before embarking on the hike along the trail. A chilling note found on his car dashboard read, "Don't look for me." Brian shared that there are numerous accounts from individuals who claim to have seen hairy, naked men in the vicinity. He quotes, there was a couple that had parked their car and got out to go look at a waterfall. This waterfall, climbing up the side, they saw a man completely naked, end quote. Another quote, they described him as a hairier than average from the waist down, with his face covered in blood, end quote. Adding the eerie tales, Brian mentioned that many of these sightings describe the feral individuals as having peculiar sunken eyes, possibly due to inbreeding. He continued, quote, there was another story of a little boy and his brother that came up to the mountain. Honey, you're moving my glasses. I got to read. Came up to the mountains on a family vacation, end quote. Another quote. They went I did that wrong. Sorry. They went out on to the one of the rivers to go fishing, and he was where they were walking on the trail. They saw again a naked man with wide eyes, a very disformed face and head. His arms were longer than normal. Oh God, dog! Longer than normal, and again he was completely naked and hairier than normal from the waist down. Donnie Laws warned the residents always keep a close watch over their children in the park, stating, quote, you do not let your children run off into the dark woods by themselves. That is a complete no-no. You don't have to meet a wild man or a Bigfoot. He could just meet a bear or a bobcat or any other animal. So once again, that one guy's theories that he was talking about earlier about how they keep their mouth shut, you're seeing where these people are keeping these practices every single day. Don't let your kids alone in the woods at night. Don't let them go out in the woods, period, alone. Blah, blah, blah. Clarksburg, West Virginia, the WBOY. West Virginians are no strangers to the stereotypes that come with living in the Appalachia, such as inbreeding and poor hygiene. Some media even depict Appalachians as dangerous, as in the horror series Wrong Turn, which takes place in the rural West Virginia and features inbred cannibals as the evil people. While all of this might sound silly in the modern day, there were multiple reports of real wild men lurking around the Mountain State Park back in the 1800s and 1900s. Once again, proves that guy's theory wrong. According to the official website for Braxton County, West Virginia, the Flatwoods area is known for another scary legend in addition to the famous Flatwoods Monster. A newspaper article published on March 8, 1919 reported the return of the wild man received some old terrors. The story was told by Luther Douglas, who said he saw a wild looking fellow in rags and with long hair and beard that others who have seen him have described. Uh, excuse me. Douglas then said that he took out his revolver and fired 2 shots at the man. Then the man turned and fled, screaming louder than ever. The article ends by saying that authorities were given agitating question of taking some means to capture a much feared lunatic or whatever he is. Another report of a wild man came even earlier in 1871. According to the Southern Highlander, a website dedicated to preserving the culture of Southern Appalachia, a man was captured by a citizen near Morgantown, West Virginia. He was said to have been covered with rags and had long, brushy hair, giving him an appearance of a gorilla more than a human being. This man turned out to be Thomas Foley of Ireland. He had been living in the woods of West Virginia for 2 years after coming from Connecticut. After someone brought Foley to their house and dressed him, he escaped and ran to the mountains, reportedly tearing off his clothes as he ran. So here is multiple reports of these type of people. Now, the Eaton people, no, they're not talking about that in the report, but you're seeing multiple reports of these wild people, these feral people like this. So if these reports are dating back to the 1800s, there has to be some truth to what's going on. And there's people to this day, I guarantee you, it's doing it even to this day. They're like, screw society, screw all the stuff, I'm done. And they just leave, they disappear. Like that note says, don't look for me. That stuff happens more than people realize. So you cannot say these people do not exist when stuff like this, like I said earlier in the show, happens every single day. I don't know what you guys think about them reports, but I mean, that's right in, hey, Joanne, that's right in Williams' neck of the woods. All right, the last one here. The brothers that lived in a tree in West Virginia. This is this guy's report of his version of the feral people. One of West Virginia's most notable wild men is Orville Eli Brown, who became known as the Clay County Wild Man during the Great Depression. According to West Virginia Encyclopedia, he became the local celebrity with a long beard and next to no clothing. Some would travel to take a photo with him for 25 cents. Despite the title, Brown attended school through the 8th grade and was known to love reading. He passed away in 2005. Today, the idea of a wild men, more often referred to as feral people, is a common scary story trope that is usually set in the Appalachian Mountains, including West Virginia. But I can tell you, reports of these things are not just in the Appalachians, folks. There's reports of these type of people all over the U.S., even here in the Ozarks. Oh, no. What's Roxanne? Oh, I got to get caught up. What's Roxanne doing? So that's all the notes I had on today. I wanted to hit a little bit of every approach to these feral people and the most famous case, dealing with Dennis Morton. What do you guys think, man? What's your guys' opinion? I'll be honest with you. I can't definitively say it was wild people. I'm on the theory that it's either going to be that something cryptid, supernatural, or he succumbed to the elements. He succumbed to nature. As mole people in New York back in the day, they lived underground in the subways. I've heard stories about those, Joanne. I have heard stories about those. Yeah. I would never say that. Not at all. But Man, I'll wait for that pop up here. Hey, Amy, you have a good one. Thank you, sweetie. You have a good one. A bit of little, oh, crap. Folklore and truth because I know them. Here in the Virginia years ago, two young brothers were found in a abandoned trailer living like wolves and wild completely. Yes. I mean, hey, DA, hey, what's going on, man? Hey, sorry I missed your show, but I caught it later on. I actually forgot it was on. I was running the TENS unit on my shoulder and elbow. I just completely forgot. That was a good show, bro. Um, so yeah, I agree. I agree with you, William. And there's so many reports of these going on, and I don't know. I mean, DA might back you up, but there is reports of even these type of people here in the Ozark Mountains. I don't think they're associated just with the Appalachians. People want to escape society. Some are taken against their will. Oh God, yeah, man, yeah. They just found out I got deterioration in my shoulder, which is causing the pain and the nerve and the tinglings. It's oh my God. But you know, this case with Dennis Martin, you know, and like I said, I can't definitively say it was feral people. Are they a likely suspect? Absolutely. But that is the case on a lot of things. You know, missing 411 is great. I love missing 411. I think it's more than just cryptid and supernatural. I think you have to add elements of feral people in there as well. Nature can have a lot to do with that case as well. And if he was taken, he himself could have became feral. I'm torn between feral people and Bigfoot. Is yes, I'm in the same boats, but I cannot dispute him succumbing to the elements, though. I'd be doing a disservice if I did not put in that the elements could have had a possibility. And like Caleb said earlier, he could have fell down a mine shaft. But we also have to consider this. If he was taken and he was not eaten, he himself would eventually transcend to the level of a feral person. No, I mean, look at Romulus and Remus of Rome. They were raised by wolves. That is a theory that goes so far back. I mean, that is not an uncommon story, and that's kind of the same principles I'm getting with this. Is if he could have became a feral person, he may still be roaming the Smoky Mountains now. You would just never know it. You know, he could have changed. He could have became one of them. Do I think feral people are eating people every single time? No, I don't. There's still some type of humanity left in them, and they're going to know, hey, we need some different type of blood in our community because ours has gotten too stagnant. Hey, good point. I forgot about that one, Da. Yes, the story of Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling was based on a legend he heard while in India. I forgot all about that. You're absolutely right. I mean, that's another one there. You know, so we can't dispute that fact either. Um, you know, it's something took him. Something took him, or he succumbed to the elements. I mean, that much is true. I just didn't know. I mean, anybody from the Appalachians that's watching this from the Bald area, let me know in the comments during the show, after the show. Does the wind get so loud up there that you can't hear anybody? Let me know if that's true or not, because I didn't know that factor. But at the same time, I want to know if it was windy when he went missing. Because his father went to look for him a couple minutes after he realized he went missing and hollering out for him and he couldn't be heard. If there was no wind, then that would take the wind out of the equation on that. Just a cup. God bless America, dude. Dude, your nose bomb. Oh, that's bad, dude. I can taste it. Yeah, you tell him. Yeah, it's bad, ain't it? They found a female recently in the jungle of India that was feral. Yeah, there you go, William. Oh my God, it's even eating through the Febreze. Holy cow. That was a bad one, dude. You need to enema. So I can't dispute any of this. I don't know what happened. Is the deal? Yeah, is what happened to the young lad a tragedy? Absolutely, it's sad. But it's the reason why content creators like me are still talking about these feral people and this case to this day, because it's an unsolved mystery. But some people, like that one guy, they want to dispute everything because they want to be right. So they want their 15 minutes the same. And that's why I debunked his stuff in a heartbeat. Every bit of what he said, it was false. If Bigfoot took him, he may have been grown up living as they do. Absolutely, Don. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's not uncommon. There's been reports. I mean, look at the native people. The native people even talk about Bigfoot that took women for wives and men. But, most prominently, they're known for taking women as wives. Make you wear a gas bladder tie. They ain't no kidding, man. That's no kidding. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if Bigfoot took him, I agree, Don. I really do. So the key thing is they never found remains. They never found a single trace of the poor boy. Even if something did happen for him and he wasn't taken, even with the search party destroying the area like they did, there would have been some kind of trace of him. Unless, like Caleb said, he fell down a mine shaft. If they didn't search the mine shafts and that's where he ended up, that'd be the only reason why you couldn't find the remains of him. I'm pretty convinced he was taken by someone or something. And that's the only reason why I have to put it in there, because I have to do due diligence. He fell to the elements, but I'm just not on that bandwagon. If I remember, though, dogs wouldn't track it, and if I had been a mine shaft, if it had been a mine shaft, they'd have still followed it. That's what I'm wondering. I couldn't find if they went down the mine shafts or not. That's why I really can't have a good comment on the mine shafts, is because I did not find anything stating that they went down the mine shafts. All I found is where they walked the land for weeks. It is interesting how they brought in the National Guard and the Green Beret, though. Some accounts will tell you that the Green Berets were carrying battle rattle. Other reports were saying that they didn't. I was talking about that earlier. The only time in my whole 13-year military career, with the amount of missing people that has happened around me, the only time I've ever been called in on a missing person deal while in the military was when I was in boot camp, and that little girl was taken by a drug cartel, and we were set up to provide a perimeter while the big dogs went looking for him. They found him before we got deployed. It's a sad story. I don't want to get into what happened. It's a sad story. Well, I mean, I've already said it before. They found him, and they found a little girl, and he had gutted her, stuck her full of drugs, and sewed her backed up and tried to carry back across the border. So as we was getting on the buses, getting ready to go to the border, they found him and the little girl. And that's what happened to the little girl. That was the only time I've ever, in my 13 years of the military, ever been called on a missing persons. There are several 411s that bodies never been found. Yeah, Roxanne, there is. There are crazy stories, some seemingly in condition through. That doesn't mean no truth with it. Yeah. Hey, William, thanks for coming in. You can take it easy. It's good seeing you, bro. Hope you had a great holiday, my friend. Yeah, Muriel. Yeah, unreal. I mean, it was horrible. It was horrible. That was my first taste of what evil lied out there in the world that I didn't know about. Anyone could do that to an innocent person, let alone, yeah, Joanne. I mean, that honestly, I knew about evil in the world. I just didn't know the degree of it. That was my first taste of the degree of evil that is in this world. Well, it was that instant right there. Man, when we were getting ready to get on the bus and we got told what happened and got called off, my heart sank. I mean, my heart sank so bad. And I wasn't a good person back then. I'm not going to deny it. I wasn't a good person. The Marine Corps changed my life, put me back on the track. That broke my heart. I mean, that was. I remember sitting in my bunk that night going, people are literally this evil in the world. I've heard stories, but I never believed it. And then I got my first taste of it. See, and the dogs would track to a degree, but if the scent is destroyed and has been altered by all the other people there, it wouldn't have a good scent. But if he was down to mine, he should have picked it up. I agree. What? What are you meowing about? So I don't know, folks. I'll tell you now. I believe there is feral people. There's too many reports of this world where there's not. But I wanted to put all the different theories and opinions out there for a reason, because I just think it's good reporting. It's good research. Not necessarily. I've seen tracking dogs pick a scent out of a group of that was days old. No kidding. I've seen them so many times say, "Quit getting in front of my dog. My dog's got to pick the track up." I mean, Craig Miles even did that, and uh, so that's why I was like, I didn't know that. It makes me think of how all of us followed in some way and have done wrongs. It's part of learning how to treat each other right. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, you used to work at trackers? Yeah, because I just remember them talking about that all the time. It's like, yeah, we can't do this. You're going to mess up the scent. So I was like, or not Craig Miles. I'm sorry. His dog was a drug dog. What dog am I thinking of that was Greene County that was tracking humans? Anyways, that's why I thought that. I haven't trained them. I haven't used dogs before, so I don't know. I just go off what I see them guys talk about. You're spoiled rotten. You know that? Okay, cool. So yeah, there you go. I mean, I learned something new. That's why I love talking with everybody out here, because you always learn something new. So that's great, because if that's the case, that's just another reason why he didn't fall to the elements or down a mine shaft. Oh, did he? Okay. I know he used to bring him and his dog used to come up to our shop and do practice drug searches. We'd have to sit perfectly still. We weren't allowed to move, but we could be in there while him and his dog was doing his work looking for the drugs. Yeah, he used to come up to our shop and do that back when I worked in the sign shop. Then he went to work for Silver Dollar City after the show. Hideaway Kennels is one place I know of. Okay. I think it also depends on the dog and how the handlers enter. Oh, that makes sense. Okay. And their house is overloaded with smells to help desensitize the nose somewhat. Some dogs do amazing things. Breed matters too. Okay, that makes sense. Yep. He went to work for Silver City. Followed him and lure on Light PD. Yeah. I used to see them all the time down at work. Yep. They was usually fueling their vehicles or come up doing some training. We almost had him convinced to let us put on a suit. We was wanting Lure to attack us, and we almost got to do it, but we got told no by our supervisor. But we had him talked into it. It's like, well, we can bring a suit up. You guys really want to do it? I'm like, yeah. Me and one other guy's like, yeah. Let's do it. I want to get bit. So you heard the dogs refuse to track at all? Okay, that makes sense. Hey, Cam with Dad, how's it going, bud? Joanne. Hey, man, Missouri's a good place to live. I ain't gonna lie. I love it here. So I don't know. Final thoughts on this. You know, we're going got a pretty decent show. Started a little early today because that thing jacked up the time, so I've got to remember to go in there and see what's going on with that. I don't know if it's the streaming platform or if it's YouTube. Last time it was YouTube, so I'll have to check it out again. But yeah, I get that. Final thoughts. Hey, I'm sorry. You know, I debunked a lot of that stuff on the naysayers saying that, oh, this stuff ain't possible when it actually is. Your company says good show with your putty tats. They look at my face again. Trying to find land now. Yeah, it's a little pricey at the moment. Yeah, so you did get to 6 p.m., but what time zone? Because it's supposed to be 6 p.m. Central. And Roxanne says, like, hey, when's your show? 5 or 6? It's like, well, 6 as usual. So last time YouTube messed it up, so I may have to go in and see if they jacked with it again. So you know, no human this time, silly. Oh, okay. I just remember you saying the cat for licking my face on the screen last week. Yeah. So you know, feral people, they exist around this world. You can find them in multiple places in the U.S. alone. I mean, you pretty much. Oh, dude, daggone, come on, man, you're toxic, dude. Why is it like nonstop? Oh, God, that's rough. So just keep in mind on that. Are they cannibals? I don't know. A lot of reports suggest that they are. I would say better be cautious. You know, if you're going to be in there. Okay. You know, if you're going to be in the area where these feral people are known to be, or just in the woods period, even if you don't know if they're known to be there, use caution. Go with the thought that they are cannibalistic. Just don't react unless you have no choice but to react. Yeah. So that'd be my theory on that. I don't know. I wasn't there when it happened. Too much stuff has been stamped on, moved around through the years, dealing with these other cases, not just Dennis Martin's case, but the other cases we heard as well. This seems to be a pattern of people mysteriously disappearing. So something has to be to it. I mean, you've got that many people just mysteriously disappearing, and I'm talking in the matter of seconds to minutes. Something happened to him. It wasn't natural, like, you know, hey, he fell or he got lost. Something got them. So there's got to be something out there. Is it cryptid? Is it human? Is it supernatural? It could be all three. Yeah, I knew what you meant, Roxanne. Heard of feral people then the other day in the Adirondacks. By God, if I could talk. Never heard or seen them anything before. Yeah, there's reports all over. Camo Dad. Y'all remember the movie Wrong Turn? Yeah, we was talking about that earlier, and yeah, it was one of the references. Yeah, that I think that movie's based on them type of people. I'm watching one of those 15-minute cities go up right around. Oh my God, wow, man. I used to live at the edge of the city. Now it's come to me. Yeah. So I don't still not heard back from my orthopedics. So I don't know when my surgery is. So next week, it's still the plan as usual. The way it sounds, I'll still be able to do the show even after my surgeries. So we'll keep that in mind. I used to watch Outsiders, not the Outsiders. It was set up in Pennsylvania, I think, and people lived wild. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's off gridders and then there's feral people. And I think some of these cases of people talking about feral people are not feral people, they're off gridders. They're homesteaders. East South Alabama. Wow. So let's keep that in mind. I want to give a shout out to my mods. Thank you, Roxanne, William. You guys are a huge help. I appreciate you guys. Jeff, I'll get you added here soon. Have you heard the other way? Where I live at, Don, you go till you hear banjos. You keep going till you stop hear banjos. And then you're getting to my place. Yeah, I mean, that's just my opinion, Joanne, but I mean, it fits. The puzzle pieces fit. I'm sorry. I like to call oranges, apples, apples, folks. And something is taking these people because there's not a single trace of them out there. I'm just not saying every bit of it's feral people. I think it's a combination of the three. Georgia line. Goddamn bummer. Got that Bama going on here. I'm to get to don't know like that on the Bama Georgia line. To my new subscribers, my OGs, thank you guys so much for watching me. I don't know what next week's topic was. I have not done one. DA, yeah. I finally, oops, I'm already feral. Yeah, Roxanne, you are. Lots of piles of DNA, and then there is the camo dad. There absolutely is. Yeah. I thank every single one of you guys. You guys are awesome. I've never done one on the feral people. I've been on other shows talking about feral people, but I wanted to do a deep dive into this and the many different theories out there with the missing persons cases and some of this other stuff. I think it's important. I really do. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll come up with an idea for next week. Once again, sorry about yesterday. I was just, I was truly blessed. I've got some really good brothers that I ride with. They came up, they bought a load of wood. I mean, it just blew my mind. They brought it up. They helped me do some cutting and some splitting. And, I've got some wood to last. So, I mean, but me being me, I overdid it. So I do apologize for yesterday's show. If you guys missed it, I did a writer's workshop where I was working on chapter 16 of the book, Reign of the Draugr, Dawn of Armageddon. You guys got to ask questions and watch me working and finish that chapter. That's 3 hours long. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. I've got a couple book commercials that I've made up, and go check them out too. Like, comment, and share. If you guys are got any content creator you're following on YouTube, please make sure that you're still subscribed to them. Not only subscribe, but make sure that bell icon is on all. If you got a favorite author that you like to follow and they're on Amazon, please go to their author's fan page, subscribe to their fan page. Please, please, please rate their comments or rate their books and make comments for me as well if I'm one of them. That helps us that's trying to make a living selling our, even a partial living selling our books. It helps us to get out there to reach more people. So I encourage you guys to do all that. And with that being said, I hope everybody's holidays were great. If I don't get to see you before New Year's, Happy New Year's. May be blessing. I might do something for New Year's. I don't know yet. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. So until next time, thank you again. Peace, love, and blessings to everyone. Have a good night. See you. Bye.